Hello, you're tuning in the English News Bulletin on QPVN channel. I'm Chung Nguyen, and now let me keep you up to date with the headlines. Ho Chi Minh City set to become mega-city. Vietnam and Cuba strengthen solidarity and defense cooperation. Vietnam-Singapore Innovation Talent Exchange Forum kicks off. On June the 18th in Ho Chi Minh City, Party General Secretary To Lâm chaired a working session with the standing boards of the party committees of Ho Chi Minh City, Bà Rịa Vũng Tàu, and Bình Dương provinces. The session focused on the implementation of recent central resolutions and conclusions, organizational restructuring, national defense and security, economic growth, and social welfare. Prime Minister Phạm Minh Chính and leaders of central agencies and ministries also attended the session.
A National Assembly resolution passed on June the 12th officially merged Ho Chi Minh City, Bà Rịa Vũng Tàu, and Bình Dương into a new Ho Chi Minh City, home to over 14 million people. The new city is set to operate officially from July the 1st. Localities have actively prepared personnel and policies to ensure a smooth merger, guaranteeing stability and motivation for civil servants. Party General Secretary To Lâm praised the significant achievements of the party committees, authorities, and people of the three localities in recent times. He stressed that this merger marks an unprecedented turning point in the history of Vietnam's urban development. It is a bold reconfiguration of the development space where three of the nation's most dynamic economic hubs converge into a mega-city for finance, industry, and seaport logistics. He called for the swift development of a new governance model to manage a tripolar mega-city in the era of global integration and competition. The Party General Secretary expressed confidence that Party Committee of the new Ho Chi Minh City will become the center of unity and inspiration, leading the city to break new ground nationally and globally.
Moving on to other noticeable military defense news. On June the 18th in Hanoi, Senior Lieutenant General Trịnh Văn Quyết, chairman of the General Political Department of the Vietnam People's Army, chaired a leadership conference on a number of important issues.
Senior Lieutenant General Trịnh Văn Quyết praised affiliate agencies and units for their effective coordination and thorough preparation for key events, as well as for the improved quality of advisory and forecasting work. He also highlighted their efforts in updating reports related to party building and the political ideological situation in the whole military. He asked relevant agencies to urgently finalize and issue standard working regulations on party and political work. These documents are expected to guide local military units and party organizations as they operate under the two-tier local government model. He emphasized the importance of maintaining consistent leadership and accelerating the digital transformation in the implementation of party and political work.
On June the 17th local time in Cuba, a talk was held between the high-ranking military delegations of the Vietnam People's Army and the Cuban Ministry of the Revolutionary Armed Forces. Attending the talk were General Nguyễn Tân Cương, Chief of the General Staff of the Vietnam People's Army and Deputy Defense Minister, and Colonel General Alvaro Lopez Miera, Minister of the Cuban Ministry of the Revolutionary Armed Forces, Chief of the General Staff and Deputy Minister of Cuban Revolutionary Armed Forces. Leaders of the Ministry of the Cuban Revolutionary Armed Forces and Vietnamese Ambassador to Cuba, Lê Quang Long.
Colonel General Alvaro Lopez Miera expressed gratitude to Vietnam for its steadfast support for Cuba and hoped the two militaries would continue strengthening cooperation in areas of mutual strength and need, thereby further deepening the special friendship and solidarity between the two nations and militaries. General Nguyễn Tân Cương expressed his pleasure at returning to the beautiful and heroic land of Cuba, especially as the two countries approached the 65th anniversary of the diplomatic ties, December the 2nd, and the Vietnam-Cuba Friendship Year 2025. He affirmed that over the past 65 years, the Vietnam-Cuba relationship has remained steadfast, faithful, and loyal. Bilateral cooperation has been implemented in a comprehensive manner. He emphasized that the Vietnamese people and military will never forget Cuba's valuable support during the most challenging times of the national liberation and current national development. He reaffirmed Vietnam's long-standing solidarity with Cuba in its journey of national development. Both leaders agreed that defense ties remain one of the pillars and a model that drives broader cooperation. Amidst complex global and regional developments, the two sides must continue to strengthen and uphold the spirit of solidarity, mutual support, and assistance. During the visit, General Nguyễn Tân Cương was honored with a replica of General Antonio Macios's sword.
On the afternoon of June the 18th, Senior Lieutenant General Hoàng Xuân Chiến, Deputy Minister of National Defense, inspected the construction area of the International Soldiers Memorial at the Vietnam Military History Museum.
Implementing the directive of the Ministry of National Defense and the General Political Department on the construction of the memorial for international soldiers who supported Vietnam in its resistance wars, the Vietnam Military History Museum proposed plans to build a bronze memorial symbol and a monument to pay tribute to foreign military advisors. Senior Lieutenant General Hoàng Xuân Chiến affirmed that the construction of the works aims to express gratitude for the contribution of troops and people of neighboring countries and international friends to the cause of national liberation, construction, and protection of the fatherland of Vietnam. In the coming time, the Ministry of National Defense of Vietnam will actively coordinate with the defense ministries of other countries to study and reach consensus on the design of the works to ensure technical and aesthetic quality.
The Vietnam Department of Peacekeeping Operations held an online conference on June the 18th to decide on the organization of the Vietnam-India Bilateral Army Exercise, or VIET for short, in 2025, which is slated for this November.
This will be the sixth time the two countries rotationally organize VIET, providing an opportunity for the two militaries to exchange experiences, improve professional capacity and coordination in UN peacekeeping operations, especially for the military engineers with support from the military, medical, and air forces. The event will help further strengthen bilateral defense cooperation within the framework of the comprehensive strategic partnership between Vietnam and India.
The draft ordinance on the settlement of post-war unexploded ordnance consequences will include 3 policies and 10 key issues of mine action activities. That was heard at the first seminar on the development of this ordinance, which took place on the morning of June the 18th at the Vietnam National Mine Action Center.
The ordinance is expected to provide detailed regulations on the classification of unexploded ordnance contamination nationwide, the criteria for safety for each locality, prohibited acts in this effort, the management and provision of information about unexploded ordnance risk, the activities of overcoming the consequences of unexploded ordnance, as well as the management of resources for the activities related to this effort, the policies for those performing unexploded ordnance clearance, and policies for victims.
Coming up next, Vietnam-Singapore Innovation Challenge Exchange Forum kicks off. Gen Z spreads beauty of Vietnamese culture on social media. On June the 18th in Hanoi, the Ministry of Home Affairs, in coordination with the Ministry of Finance, organized the Vietnam-Singapore Innovation Challenge Exchange Forum. The event welcomed both in-person and online participation from representatives of relevant Vietnamese ministries and agencies, Singapore's Ministry of Trade and Industry, the Singaporean Embassy in Vietnam, and universities and businesses from both countries.
The Memorandum of Understanding on the Vietnam-Singapore Innovation Challenge Exchange Program was signed on August 28, 2023 by Vietnam's Ministry of Planning and Investment, now the Ministry of Finance, Ministry of Labor, Invalids and Social Affairs, now the Ministry of Home Affairs, and the Singapore's Ministry of Trade and Industry. The program aims to create opportunities for Vietnamese and Singaporean workers to take on short-term jobs up to 2 years in innovation-related roles in eligible enterprises in both countries. Each year, the program is expected to recruit 300 candidates from Vietnam and more in the coming years. Priority will be given to candidates in such fields as technical labor, cybersecurity, cloud computing, artificial intelligence, application programming, and software development.
With their keen sensitivity and strong connectivity in cyberspace, young people played an active role in selecting and spreading good values, including the patriotic spirit and precious traditions of the country. And on that meaningful journey, we cannot fail to mention the serious and professional efforts aimed at preserving and promoting the beauty of Vietnamese traditional culture in this online space. In the following part, let's discover a passionate project, a journey of exploring and spreading Vietnamese values called Vietnamese Essence.
Images of the last artisan in craft village meticulously passing down their skills to younger generations, or a traditional handicraft representing the beautiful cultural values of the country, but being on the brink of oblivion, are all captured through the authentic and creative lens of Vietnamese Essence. Vietnamese Essence was born in a context where Gen Z dominates the era. They live in a fast pace and being keenly aware of global trends. However, alongside that integration process, the question whether Gen Z has gradually forgot the national cultural identity or not constantly haunts young people's mind. National consciousness cannot arise naturally if we don't pay attention to constantly cultivating it. Our team passionate about preserving and developing culture. We desire to accompany young people through generations so that they can be more aware of the national identity through the values of Vietnamese craft villages. The project focuses on filming and broadcasting videos on YouTube, documenting Gen Z's journey of discovering traditional values across Vietnam. Among them, 3 prominent series include Gen Z Returns to the Village, exploring traditional craft villages facing the risk of extinction, Gen Z with Vietnamese flavors, understanding culinary history and conveying cultural stories through traditional dishes, and Gen Z with Vietnamese heritage, exploring folk arts such as traditional music, folk dances, and classical theater. In particular, the project explores the battlefield stories of veterans in the resistance war against the American imperialists. Each veteran has a story to tell, also a message to convey to young people. Regarding the responsibility of Gen Z, who are truly the succeeding generation of our country, and on their shoulders lies not only the task of jointly developing the country's economy, but also preserving the cultural values of the country, as well as preserving the national spirit and the national characters. Behind the beautiful footage and impressive images spreading on social media is a continual process of searching, learning, and creating by the Vietnamese Essence team. They sought out remote craft villages, listened to the sharing of individuals, and diligently researched history and culture. However, their biggest concern is that how to tell cultural stories in a refreshed way, incorporating accurate information, and using social media as an indispensable bridge to reach the hearts of young people. The responsibility put on the shoulders of Vietnamese Essence team in particular and cultural preservation staff in general is critical. It lies in both selecting accurate and standard information to provide for young people, the next generations of country, so that they can fully feel the national spirit and cultural identity, and applying diversified forms, not merely video systems, but also other information channels and methods, so that young people can connect with culture. The unceasing efforts of the Vietnamese Essence team have received enthusiastic response from the online community. The views, shares, and emotional comments have demonstrated the spreading power of cultural contents that are produced seriously, creatively, and sincerely. The journey of Vietnamese essence shows that with enthusiasm and responsibility, young people can completely transform cyberspace into a highly effective environment for preserving and promoting these precious cultural values of the country.
And that's all for now. Remember, you can always watch the news again at QBVN.vn. Thank you for watching and hope to see you next time.